What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sound of Movement podcast. Today we're kicking off a new week where it's all about exercise and the importance of it in the health hierarchy of needs. And today we're going to be talking about why exercise is more important than diet. A lot of people would be thinking it's the other way around, but today we're going to tell you why we do it this way.
Like Vasquez said in Aliens, let's rock. If you're new to the tribe, we got Rich behind the mix. We got Rad across the table from me, Yanni Bormeister, and we are Unity Gym, experts at turning driven people into athletes. This episode is brought to you by the Unify Movement System, UMS, the only online program effectively balancing strength, flexibility, and fitness so you can unleash your inner athlete. Get daily coaching by us, plus our epic Foundations Prep program, revolutionary structural balance blueprint, epic exercise tutorial library, so you can create your ideal programs and optimize your performance. As a valued listener, use the link in the description and get your first month free. What have you got to lose? Before we get started, big warm welcome. If you are live tuning in on the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group, leave a comment and we'll send you back some love. Remember, anyone can join that group and interact and ask us questions. It's basically free coaching. Get yourself in there. Lastly, shout out to our YouTube athletes catching the replay. Hit the like button to support the channel and subscribe if you like what you see.
Who's today's show brought to them by, Yanni?
The Unified Movement System.
Oh, yeah, good.
That's what I said.
Oh, all right, cool.
Come on, mate.
How is everyone on that note?
So well.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Happy to be back after I'm now doing the week down the coast and a week here. So every time I get back here on a Monday morning, I'm excited to be back and ready to talk about things I like talking about.
Yeah, I got interrupted. I didn't get to say today we are
Hello.
joined by Phil White from ADPT Physio. Thanks, Rad. My God, I just got the stream come up and I've just trained bent arm strength and my arms are looking good in this singlet.
Yanni's got his party pump going for the audio format.
That's
of
right.
our
That's
podcast.
right. If you want to see my party pump, you got to jump over to the Movement Mastermind Facebook group. Yeah,
Love it. Let's talk about
I
exercise.
look bigger than Rad. That's the important thing.
It's all about the angles.
On that note, we're going to talk about why we believe exercise is more important than diet when it comes to getting started on your journey. And this is a debatable topic because I even used to, cling on to the old saying, 80% diet, 20% exercise. That's the formula for looking great and being healthy. But we actually flipped that on its head, and we did it for a very, very important reason. And we're going to really pull that apart and talk about why that is today. And, to kick things off, just a quick reminder, we spoke last week briefly about our health hierarchy of needs, order of operations, whatever you want to call it. This is the order that we believe people need to focus on to achieve really great health and fitness goals, whether that be to unlock movement mastery with calisthenics, dance, powerlifting, boxing, martial arts, CrossFit, whatever it is, yoga, or just to transform their body and achieve a really impressive physique. Those two are right at the top of the health hierarchy of needs, but before you even try to achieve either of them, we believe you need to ignite your motivation, which is step one. We need to build a healthy exercise habit, and then we need to build healthy nutrition rituals or diet principles. And that is the order that we focus on. And you'll notice that straight after igniting your motivation, setting goals, doing all those things that we spoke about last week, the next on the list to check off is creating a really healthy exercise habit. Now, we're going to talk about the context of a healthy exercise habit tomorrow. Today, we're going to talk about why it's so damn important to do this before nutrition.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, the main reason that we decided is that it's the lowest hanging fruit. It's easier to do, and getting momentum with your health and fitness is without a doubt one of the most important things. It's one of the things where people just fail miserably. They try and go too hard too soon. They create goals that are too hard to achieve in the short term, and they don't ever create that momentum, that traction, and it's something that they run at, fail, stop, run at again, fail, stop, and the daily habit of exercise, healthy exercise, is so much easier to get right than nutrition.
I'm so glad you stopped yourself there and highlighted the momentum point.
Yeah,
Bec-
it all comes down to positive and negative spirals for me, and that's entirely about momentum. Like once you get started with one healthy habit, it's so much easier to keep the rest going and to build on that. But when you haven't got the momentum, and when you start going backwards, when you subtract exercise from the often I see this with people with injuries, as soon as they lose their exercise habit, then everything else starts to unravel as well. So yeah, that momentum idea is just so key for me, and that idea of positive and negative spirals.
And I remember when I didn't have this stuff dialed in back in my 20s, and I was trying to get really good at martial arts, and I just remember all of the different things that I had to do, and trying to just getting so overwhelmed with not getting any of it right. And when you're not getting any of it right, it just becomes a really frustrating experience. And so yeah, the whole idea of the health hierarchy is to focus on the things that you can get right now. And then once that's dialed in and you get that momentum going, then you can move on to that next step. And a daily habit of exercise, training for an hour a day, half an hour a day, whatever it is, just something that becomes a habit is so much easier than getting your nutrition right. It is so much easier.
Now, I want to share, before we go forward, to build some context, I want to share two stories. One story from the past, one story from the present today. Personal stories. Now, I like to travel a lot, and I generally take three types of vacations. One to just completely relax, and that'll be to a tropical, maybe Bali or Thailand or something like that, where I just want to really chill out and get lots of sunlight and take it easy. And one where I'll go to the snow somewhere, go snowboarding, that'll be very physically active. And then one where I explore a new country or, something like that, like going to Europe for a month last year. We did a lot of skiing in Europe though. Now, whenever I go to a tropical place, I'm always at risk of just sitting by a pool and getting fat drinking cocktails and beer, especially in Bali, that bintang. Ooh. And so what I always prioritize doing is making sure that I get a morning workout done. I find somewhere that's close by, relatively close by, a good gym, and I go and do a wicked workout in the morning. And I've found, and I don't know whether you guys can relate, I'm sure there will be people that can, that when you go and do that, you get up, you prioritize going for a good workout for a couple of hours. Then in Bali or Thailand, you can go get an hour massage straight after for like $5 or something. And then it brings you to sort of lunchtime, and you're far less likely to sit around drinking alcohol. There's just something that happens that makes you feel like you don't want to, because you've done that exercise, and that's created a bit of daily, micro momentum in the day. And then I'll usually last right till the evening before I even feel like having a sip of a beer or something like that. But if I don't get that morning workout in, or a morning run or something like that, it doesn't have to be at the gym, I can go for a run. Then I find that I'm at the pool drinking at before midday. You're sitting there waiting for 12, so you feel a little bit justified before you go and have a beer or something like that, And I'm sure other people can relate to that.
I definitely know that feeling where it's like when you've kind of put yourself through like a challenging workout, or you've done something sort of big in the morning, like, oh, I've put all that effort in now. Like, you've kind of paid this, you sort of double down on that, investment of effort you've put in. Whereas I find it can be really hard when it's just like on just that nutrition side of things. If I haven't done an exercise, it's like,
that's right. Once you sort of hit the effort button, you can hit it a dozen times. It's like hitting enter when you're trying to get out of a wrong page.
The opposite's true as well.
Yeah.
If you go on Friday night, when I've had a big night out and partied or whatever, then on Saturday morning I'll wake up, and the last thing that I want to do is anything to do with health and fitness, and you just want to get like a big greasy breakfast into you. And then once that's happened, it's really, really easy by the time the afternoon comes around and you're just feeling this horrible hangover to think, well, fuck, I've ruined this weekend anyway. I'm just going to have a few more drinks, and that'll at least make me feel better. And that bleeds into a whole weekend. And then Monday comes around and you start thinking, all right, now I'm going to get on track. But that, from Friday to Sunday, that's a lot of time to be really fucking it all up. And polarize it with what you've just described. When you add those weekends up like that, or you add those weeks up like that, man,
well, the point I want to ram home just quickly on that is that, exercise has this bleed out into everything else. It does affect the rest of your life. Whereas if you wake up and have a filthy, healthy, nutritious breakfast to hit the first meal of the day, it's a weird combination of words. But if you have a really, really perfect breakfast, it doesn't necessarily make you feel like you got to go and get a workout in.
Yeah.
That you know, it doesn't seem to work in reverse order, but
And I
it
even find like
definitely-
it doesn't always make you then double down on having a really good meal the next
Yeah.
the next meal as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of put all this effort into like making something really healthy or whatever, and you've sort of used that bit of like motivation and sort of effort to be like, okay, I'm going to be really good on this meal. I'm just going to eat this, and then by the time the next one comes around, it's almost like you've sort of run out of shits to give.
Yeah.
So
So-
just like
So there's two. First and foremost, exercise is, and we'll talk more about this. We'll finish the show on this because this is really important. It is certainly easier to manipulate as a first step than diet. Nutrition is a big beast, and there's a lot of psychology coupled with nutrition. There's a lot of issues that can be going on that will prevent you from being really a long-term sustainable, good, healthy diet. Whereas exercise is something that you can, like anyone can wake up and go for a walk. And, walking in a fasted state over the last 3 months has been an insane way for me to lose weight. I've almost lost 15 kilos in a couple of months just from introducing walking in a fasted state in the morning, not doing any changes to my diet whatsoever. This month, actually, that's not true. I've stopped drinking alcohol, which is another big one too. But it's really quite profound how much just going for a walk in a fasted state. So anyone can do that. You don't need expensive footwear. You don't need an expensive gym. You don't need anything. You can go and get some movement in the morning first thing. I'm not saying that that's the be all and end all, but I'm saying that it is a very small barrier of entry to do that, Whereas changing your diet is big. Like you really need to start thinking about how you prepare, where you go shopping, what you're going to do when you go out, how you're going to combat those moments when you're with your friends and you're out and they're saying, hey, eat this, let's go for burgers, let's do whatever. It's a big beast. So we can definitely say that starting an exercise routine is a little bit easier as far as just ticking a box, getting some momentum. The second point is that it has this tendency to carry over to other things, okay? Now, the third point that I want to highlight is what happened for me today, which is that over the weekend, I had my kids and we just blew out. We had pancakes on the rocks on Saturday afternoon. We had pizza for dinner on Saturday night. I ate the leftover pizza for lunch yesterday. And then I made a big bowl of pasta for dinner last night because I'm doing a 24-hour fast today. And there was a bit of candy and a bit of chocolate and things like that, sweets in and between that. Now, I woke up this morning feeling like absolute dirt. And I know I'm putting this together now because I'm identifying moments when I have a binge like that. It certainly is because I battle with a little bit of depression and a little bit of emotional disorders like that. It's depleting my dopamine and my happy hormones, just like drugs or alcohol would. And the following day, I have a hangover, literally a come down from those highs from the food. And I'm sure other people experience this too. I'm not the only one that experiences a bit of depression, anxiety from time to time. Now, if I didn't already have an ingrained habit of exercise that was already rolling, and I turned up today and just said, just get through the workout. Just get the workout done and you'll feel better. And I do. I feel 1,000,000 times better now than I did 2 hours ago before I started working out. I would be a write-off for the rest of the day. I was literally not going to come on the show today. I said to Phil, I don't think I'm going to come on the show. I was feeling that miserable. So that is a second reason that I want to put this point across, how much, like, no matter how good your diet gets, you're always going to have blowouts. And those blowouts will affect different people at different levels. But for a lot of people, it affects you psychologically and emotionally as well as physically and physiologically, But when you've got an exercise habit that's already humming away and you just have to go through the motions and you're going to get your workout done, it is so powerful in overcoming, hitting the reset button, recharging all of those healthy hormones, healthy chemicals and things like that. And diet doesn't do that. Your healthy diet doesn't do that. Of course, some will argue, oh, well, you wouldn't feel so bad if you didn't have the blowout with your nutrition. But let's be real. Everybody has blowouts. Even the healthiest people in the world have blowouts from time to time, So you got to be prepared for them.
Yeah.
And the best way to be prepared for them is to already have established an exercise routine.
Yeah. And before we're talking about fuel utilization and nutrition, I just couldn't help but think then when you were saying you went for pancakes on the rocks with the boys, and the Rocks is an area in Sydney and Turkey Quay that is really nice near the Harbour Bridge, and I was thinking like people in the US or anywhere else in the world would be like pancakes on the rocks, like
Yeah.
like blocks of ice and you put pancakes on the blocks of ice like you would whiskey on the rocks or something. It's just
That's
anyway.
gold.
But yeah, one of the things with exercise, and particularly if you're doing exercise similar to the Unity workout, where you've got that nice mix of like high intensity sort of strength work paired with some lower like the mobility warm up where you're kind of getting your heart rate up a little bit, paired with the high intensity interval training style work at the end. Like if you're doing all of that, your fuel utilization is going to be kind of working through both the glycolytic system and the anaerobic system. And so as long as you're eating food, like you're going to be using fuels from those different sort of sources. So it's one of those things with exercise. It's like you can get really dialed in with nutrition to try and match it perfectly to the exercise you're doing, but as long as you're doing some form of exercise, you're going to be basically like, burning some calories. And the biggest thing you can do to burn calories is basically to be alive. Like that's your basal metabolic rate is the biggest burner of calories. So like people can get so down the rabbit hole of trying to get this perfect macronutrient like, mix when just like getting that exercise habit is going to be particularly something like this where you've got a nice variation of movement and variation of energy usage is going to be the best thing you can do.
Well, I reckon my 2 cents after Yanni's rant is that with nutrition, you're dealing with addiction. You're not dealing with that with exercise. You actually end up you can end up being addicted to exercise, which is a really good and healthy addiction. But if you try and do the idea of trying to, tackle that nutrition step before the exercise habit, you're dealing with addictions, and that's a beast of a thing to deal with, Whereas exercise is just about creating a new habit, creating a habit that wasn't there, and I think that's a hell of a lot easier than dealing with addiction, right?
Yeah, I think there's two ways. Like you can't. I don't know if you can make a generalization that everyone's addicted to food, but you can certainly make. I think you can split it into two categories. On one side, you've got the people who are battling food overconsumption, and that's often forms of addiction and psychological stuff. And then on the other hand, you've got the people who are probably pretty damn good, but they don't understand the macronutrients that they need. Enough protein for exercise, enough carbohydrate for fuel, enough fat for health. And they get that really wrong, and you've got people out there who are just beating themselves down every day in the gym and not getting enough dietary protein to trigger muscle protein synthesis and things like that. And I think that both of those are really big kettles of fish to try and tackle. Obviously, getting your nutrients right is much easier than overcoming addiction and losing weight and things like that. But in both cases, it's harder to get right than to turn up to a gym and do a workout, or to go for a walk, or to go for a run, or to do a stretch session or something like that.
And if you look at the statistics in Australia and America, it's the overwhelming majority of people that fall into either of those categories.
Yeah.
The overwhelming majority of people are overweight in Australia and America. So, yeah.
And of course to say with weight and everything, like nutrition does become the big beast to tackle, but what we're saying here is really do start with exercise first. And just like Barbara Glasso said here, where she said to our comment before, she did it in the morning where she got a cookie from the cookie jar and then put it back because she'd done a really good workout that morning. And having that workout that kind of makes you like feel like you kind of owe it to yourself to then continue on with the other healthy exercise behaviors is what it's all about. So
yeah, there you go.
So true. And even if your workout isn't in the morning, for some people they can't train in the morning, it's in the afternoon, but you still make smarter decisions. I know that, even back in my hedonistic days in my 20s, like when I had to do my kung fu training, like I wouldn't dare do anything bad before my training, because how the hell are you going to go and train if you have a beer before you're training, or if you eat a really shit meal? You learn real quick when you turn up to a hard martial arts training session with a belly full of shit food.
When I was boxing, it was like that. Like you had to get it so right because you were expected to perform it a certain way for 3 hours non-stop.
And you get smashed in martial arts training like that.
Yeah. And so I was always like really thinking about, like when I think about it now, I was very considerate to how I ate, because you didn't want to, especially on days where you knew you were sparring, which was like every Wednesday and Friday, you just get your ass kicked when you hadn't eaten well, because you're just lethargic and you feel a bit sick in the stomach, and the other
really positive benefit, just before we do wrap up, is talking about like exercise also tires you out, which is great for then getting your sleep right, which then has again that positive sort of flow-on effects. And I know that days where I just haven't done anything that day, I feel like I'm just sort of a bit wired by the end of the day, where I'm like not tired enough to get to sleep, but also, you know, just sort of antsy because I haven't done the exercise. And so with that, like that positive spiral, like if you can't start getting a good exercise habit in, you wake up a bit earlier to get some exercise done, then by the time that, you know, bedtime rolls around, like you're ready to ready to sleep, and that just
well, we see we've seen this firsthand in that we used to do a lot of weight loss training at Unity Gym, and when we did weight loss training, we spent so much time talking to people about nutrition and about habits outside of the gym and about everything like that, and we've completely shifted from that. And now what the average person gets from us are amazing workouts, and we just drill into them. Just turn up to the gym 5 days a week. And that's it. And don't kill yourself. Just keep turning up, and they get so much better results than people that we were working so much closer with and trying to support them on so much more. But now that we've just that's the main thing that we get people to work on, is just their motivation and their exercise habits. And then after X amount of time, people will ask us questions about nutrition, and we give them really basic advice, and they just get phenomenal results from it. So it really does work. And if you haven't started to look at training this way, then give it a try. You know, put down the really big rocks that you don't seem to be able to nail yet, and just focus on getting your motivation in, and start turning up daily to the gym, just doing something, and see what it does for you.
Yeah, Rad's saying by getting your motivation dialed in, go back and watch last week's show, but just find your reason why it's important to you. And it's usually way above you. It's usually something to do with social psychology, with family, you know, something that's bigger than you. Why is exercise? Why are you exercising? You know, why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to put on muscle? Why do you want to unlock that skill? Why do you want to look a certain way? And really drill down on that, and then get busy building a habit that's going to
and be honest with yourself. Don't tell yourself, oh, this is why, but then think, oh no, I can't do that because of X and Y reason, or this person might think that of me. Like, you got to be honest with yourself and really understand it. You know?
And if you need some help, get into our UMS online coaching tribe. We're about to jump over there and give them their daily dose of amazing coaching. Everyone who's watching and listening to the podcast, jump over if you're in that group. We're going to be on in about 3 minutes. But for now, that is the show for today. Exercise comes before diet because it is the lowest hanging fruit, and it's going to carry over to everything else you do in your life once you have a great, healthy daily exercise habit going. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to talk about what a healthy exercise habit means and why people get mediocre results when they do not build a healthy exercise habit. One word: balance. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, that's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that far.
It's the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.